Just reading this Norman Mailer's Pieces and Pontifications, and actually I'm reading at random a few pieces, some essays of his, and one particularly caught my eye. But before that, let me read from the inner cover. I picked this book from the American Center Library, and these essays taken together, these imaginative, erudite essays and interviews exemplify Mailer's written and conversational prowess, and you really enjoy going through it. So on this page you find about the copyright, the edition, and the design, and of course the publishers. So, well, these are the pieces or the contents for you to go through. The one that really caught my eye or I liked was the Faith of Graffiti. So I'm just going to say something about it, what I've understood from it. So here faith here doesn't mean religion per se. It means a trust, maybe a belief. So sort of he writes that, I mean, you understand that the writers or the graffiti writers, they have faith in their art and naming themselves. The book published May 7, 1974 by Prager, text by Norman Mailer, etc. And he calls himself the aesthetic investigator, and he treats the 1970s New York City subway graffiti as a legitimate art movement. So he sort of also links people who make the graffiti to art history. So it is like a high art trickles down to the street. It is as though like kids or people writing their names on trains, sort of declaring that they existed. And he says, against the grey hostile city. So of course it's sometimes you really don't like that you call it like it's a shame by insensitive crowds when you go and scribble your names on some historical monument. But he says it's a seminal document on origins of street art. He sort of validated it like that. So in his essay, he just also expresses that mostly people see as vandalism, but then he says, validates it, graffiti as an art, that the belief writers had that their name, style and presence mattered, that say tagging a train was an act of self-creation and defiance. So of course it's like a faith which is irrational, committed and transformative. And if you see that, to me, I feel that it's an oasis of visual delight. And today you will see that even the city even commissions the artist to do some graffiti here and there. I remember going to Kensington Market there in downtown Toronto, in the cobble lanes and these houses and stores where there were these beautiful graffiti. I mean, you could, it was like going through, say, a museum of painters, like, paintings. It really sort of, it gives you a sense of art of the people who are there, and it sort of, you feel that the place is pulsating with a lot of ideas, people there, real living beings who are deep in their thought. So it was like, that's my experience wandering around Kensington Market, and it was like hitting a wall of wild color. It feels like finding water in a desert of brick and glass, sort of. So, instead of seeing those billboards with ads and things like that, you are hit. I mean, you come across life, humor, color, and you can feel the pulse of the place. That is graffiti for me. And all over the place now, you see, sometimes even when I'm going around Delhi, say through the bus, you cross the subways, that means the underpass, you find these beautiful murals of birds and maybe the different dances of India depicted on the walls, and they're so colorful that when you're walking or you're going through, you just forget where you are, like, you enjoy. And sometimes if it catches your eye, you just go to the library, or go to the search engines to find out more about a certain thing that has hit you. So I mean, I really like this essay, and really, you don't need any museums. You're just there, you're alive, and no tickets, no curator. It speaks to you, it's yours. So he in this essay, I feel, is saying that graffiti deserves to be taken seriously as an art. And he seems to have won the day, because there are many a city or many a places where they commission painters from the art college, or even people who are artists in their right to come and put some murals out there and some paintings of their choice, of their imagination. And here I'm just reading the first line. Since the metaphor of plant life had climbed all over this discussion of graffiti, perhaps meaning that graffiti grows like plants in the cracks of the city, it's organic, unplanned, and pushes back against any grey concrete. So also the graffiti that just comes up, and especially if you wander around in the villages, most of these huts, you will find these ladies and children making or decorating their places with so many of these motifs. And well, it is with the graffiti of the ancient humans in the caves with which we have been able to, say, come up with some historical background of mankind. Yes, it is a mystery still. That's what he writes. And no, he says it's not enough to think of the childlike desire to see one's name ride by in letters large enough to scream your ego across the city. So perhaps that is the unheard echo of the graffiti, the vibration of the profound discomfort it arouses, the rapt intent seething of its foliage be the herald of some oncoming. And so graffiti lingers on our subway door as a memento of all the lives ever lived, sounding now like the bugles of gathering armies across the unseen grid, she writes. So from the back cover I read excerpts from Norman Mailer's Pieces and Pontifications. We will never know if primitive artists painted their caves to show a representation, or whether the moving hand was looking to placate the forces above and the forces below. Sometimes I think the novelist fashions a totem just as much as an aesthetic, and his real aim, not even known necessarily to himself, is to create a diversion in the fields of dread, a sanctuary in some of the arenas of magic. And then from the other one, from Narcissism, one can detest oneself intimately and still be a narcissist. What characterizes narcissism best is that the fundamental relationship is with oneself. That same to and fro of love and hate which mates feel for one another is experienced within the self. A special kind of insanity always underwrites the narcissist, therefore. The inner dialogue almost never ceases. Each half of oneself is forever scrutinizing the other. Two narcissists in love are not like two lovers who may feel a visceral need holding them together. Narcissists rather are linked up into themselves. They do not attach to each other so much as they approach like crystals brought into communication. They have a passionate affair to the degree that each makes it possible for the other to resonate more fully than when alone. The ISBN is this 0316 54418-3. Interesting book, undoubtedly.